Welcome to our Tech for Good Talks, where we talk to industry tech leaders, big thinkers, and ambitious change makers about the role that technology has in creating a better world for us to live and to enjoy. My name is Ana Camerano from the Tech to the Rescue Foundation, and we are a global movement of tech innovators who work directly with nonprofits to build solutions that tackle the world's most pressing challenges. Today is a very special episode, not only because we have a very special guest in our podcast, but because we are here in person, seeing each other and having the opportunity to record this episode in the same room. So please welcome Alice Damasceno. She's the Director of Corporate Citizenship and ESG Communications for Lenovo in Latin America. Welcome, Alice.
Thank you so much, Anna. Hi, everybody. Super excited to see what we are going to talk and happy to be invited. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
No, of course. It's our pleasure and our honor to, be here, have the chance to meet you, see the people behind the screens, right? And we're actually here in very beautiful and sunny São Paulo. I think this is not very common.
It is.
And we are here at the Lenovo office. And thank you so much, first thing, for having me and accepting our invitation to record this episode.
It is a huge pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, how are you feeling today? Excited for our conversation?
Yes, super. Let's do it.
Perfect. Well, so Alice, we have a lot of things to talk about. I want to know, and I want the audience to know a little bit more about you, the initiatives that you're doing at Lenovo, right? And just to give a bit of a context to our audience, right? Because Lenovo has partnered with Tech to the Rescue. It's been for almost a year now. Yeah. And we are working together as Lenovo and Tech to the Rescue because you guys are funding climate change nonprofits at the moment and soon education nonprofits, right? That are going to go through this AI upskilling journey with us, right? This program that we're talking about, it's called the Lenovo AI for Social Impact Lab. And this is what we are doing together to leverage AI as a solution to, let's say, to humanity's most pressing issues, right? That's what we're trying to do together.
That's what we hope to do, and I know that we will.
I am 100% sure we will, with great partners like you guys, for sure.
Partners.
To that. Exactly. We're going to talk more about that in later on in the episode. But of course, first I have to ask about you.
Okay.
Would you give us a bit of an introduction about you and your role?
Sure. So, Alice Damasceno. I am Brazilian, so it's fun that we are both Brazilians speaking in English right now. But raised and born here, have been working with social impact for more than 20 years now. I'm a mother, I'm married, I have 2 daughters. I've been working with social impact for quite a while, but I'm an engineer. This is my major degree. Yeah, and my career has been developed in multinational and national companies, family offices, and I have worked in different sectors like telecoms, technology, of course, food and beverage, retail, so I have different experiences, but always in this field of social impact. So now I'm working for Lenovo for 5 years now, being now the Director of Corporate Citizenship and ESG Communications for LATAM. And what else? I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about technology. I really believe that technology is key to the challenges that we do have. I'm super curious to see what's this conversation.
Yeah, but I have to ask, Alice, you're an engineer, right? From your studies, how did you end up working with impact?
Yeah, so I'll have to go back a little bit, please, to give more context. So, as a Brazilian, I know that I am a huge privileged Brazilian because I come from a family of professors, of teachers. So education was something that was really, really key in my family, and my parents were keen on providing the best education for my siblings and myself. So I had huge opportunities due to this investments that they did. But growing up in Brazil, I have always seen that we, and unfortunately, but Brazil, it's a very unequal touch. You see poverty together with super richness side by side. So
The disparity is really big.
it's really, really big. And this has bothered me from my early ages. I always thought that what's going on? Has this person that, for instance, is in the streets, what's his decision to be there? Might not be. So maybe lack of opportunity. So I have always been involved with these situations. They have always bothered me. And I have always been involved with community services throughout my life. So a little advance in time. I studied. I went to engineering because I really loved science, technology, physics, mathematics, and have always been curious. So kind of seeing things working and open it to check how it works inside. So really an engineering mind. So I went to engineering, then started to work. I went to work on a Brazilian company, but super focused on more the capitalist side of society. And then I had a chance to go to the US to do my master's. And it was a master's in business. But there I had to do some credits on social services. So I had to go to an NGO and do some work. And I went to a huge, super well-structured, organized NGO in Detroit. And there, this NGO was so structured, even more structured than many of the companies that I knew here in Brazil. So I started to figure out that philanthropy or this was kind of a sector that was established. And I said, maybe this should be the place for me to work. But as you remember, I was there for studying business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started to think, how could I connect both? So do something for this community services, social good, whatever, but being and use the knowledge and the experience that I have in business. So when I came back to Brazil, I started to figure out where would be the space, and then I found it was just starting here in Brazil, but I found this corporate social investment arena where their companies were lacking of professionals that understood what's going on in the community area, in the social sector with NGOs, but also have the knowledge on how to handle businesses. So this was it. The rest is history. 20 years went by. But I feel like I'm super privileged to work, to get paid, to work with something like that. And really, really, throughout my career, I think that I have tried to change lives of people. So this is something that really moves me.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And it's actually very beautiful, right? Because in Brazil here, we do see all of these problems. We go on the street, we see them, right? We see these differences between access to resources from people from different backgrounds, different births, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And it's a huge problem, right? So it's actually very nice that you're sharing that because you observed that and you decided, no, we need to do something to change this reality, right? And I imagine this is, of course, something that you have very strong, but what are other causes that drive you now for all these years?
Wow. So as I mentioned before, I'm passionate about people. So people. So I would say if I should say a cause to be education, of course, because it's key to every type of change or development. It opens doors for everything. But also I think human rights, but human rights in a very broad look. So poverty, hunger, but also inequalities, bias, so everything that's connected to looking into every people like a human being. What does he or she need to have a good life, to improve, to thrive? So this is something that really moves me. But a few years ago, I started to look through my work here at Lenovo into ESG comms. And so I started to study a little bit more about the environment. And now I think environmental issues are also coming to a very special place in my heart, because it's really something that we need to work. Yes. Otherwise, we won't have the people that I loved so much.
Exactly, right? Working with the environment is also working towards people's lives. Yeah, right. And this is so important, because in the impact world, sometimes we have, a lot of these courses, the world's most pressing challenges and this and that. But we have to remember that we're talking about human beings. As much obvious that this sounds, sometimes we forget about that, right? It's all about the people and how services and practices and initiatives are centered to them, right? To improve their lives, their conditions and all that. Thank you so much for sharing a little more of this personal story. I was very curious, how did you end up working in impact world, but gladly we have you here. And I wanted to ask you then, Alice, a bit more about Lenovo, right? The impact and the work that you're doing at Lenovo. And you have a very interesting title, right? And could you explain to us what does corporate citizenship stands for?
Yes, I can. No, I'll be glad to do that. It's a common question.
Yeah.
So I would say that corporate citizenship embeds the responsibility in what the company does beyond the core business. So maybe in other words, I would say that it's community relations, social investments, diversity and inclusion, you name it. We are sort of a reputation guardian, caretaker, or something like that. So business people, consumers, everybody feel comfortable to work with us. So it's in an interesting area because we do have a privilege to work as the bridge between the company and the community. So this is something that's really I feel honored to work with that. And at Lenovo, within corporate citizenship lies philanthropy, social investment, social responsibility. We have different names for similar things, but also we support diversity and inclusion throughout the company, taking care of the social investments, so supporting social impact projects, handle relationship with NGOs and community partners, employee engagement, because we always invite our colleagues to engage in the causes, to engage in what we do. So we have a lot of volunteering activities, mentorship activities that we invite people to really be part in this movement that we propose through corporate citizenship.
I was going to ask exactly that, right? So this is a combination of external impact, but also looking inside, of course, and working with Lenovo employees, your team, the people that are here to embed this culture of impact, right, throughout the company.
There's a responsibility not only with the community, with the outside community, but also in building the knowledge within the company on the responsibility that we do have as one of the largest tech company in the world to be really a corporate citizen. So seeing the company as a citizen. And something else that unfortunately it's growing in the past years, we also are responsible for the response, Lenovo's response for natural disasters. So whenever we have those tragic situations like the fires in California just a few weeks ago, or hurricanes or rains and landscapes and stuff, we know that there's an opportunity or an obligation for companies to do something about it, to help people that were affected, but also to help prevent this type of event cause life losses or something like that. So we are also looking into this in a very careful way to check how can we also put our technology, our knowledge, our people at service in this type of situation. So, in a nutshell, that's corporate citizenship for Lenovo.
A very big nutshell.
Yes, indeed.
But so many important initiatives. And when it comes to disaster response like this, I see it in Brazil, so many natural disasters happening, right? With climate change. We had recently floods. I am from the south of Brazil. We had recently floods in several major cities. People lost their belongings, their house, their homes. So this is so important, right? Have companies looking at that as well and contributing, right, to...
And I think that whenever we have this type of event, everybody wants to help. So it's something it's human. So what happened in this type of situation, I'm going to give the example of what happened in the south of Brazil. In the first moment when the rain hit and it was a tragedy, first the employees were asking, what can we do? How can I, as another Brazilian, do something to help people from Porto Alegre in that case? And so at first we launched a campaign for our employees to donate funds, water, whatever was needed, and we have worked with partners to have these donations to come to those who were there, were affected. But what's interesting about technology and our role is that for instance, our devices, they are super useful in such a situation, but not at the very first moment. A few weeks after everything there was under the water, we started to work with hospitals there to check what they needed in terms of computers, servers, cell phones, that we could donate. It's something that we do. It's our business to support them. So it's interesting because it has different phases. So at first there's this huge movement of people trying to help. So we engage our employees, and after that we start working with partners to understand the real situation, what's the context, what can be done to rebuild what was lost there. So it's unfortunately, and I think that's especially due to climate change, we are facing a lot of those events.
Yes, very unfortunate, but it looks like the company has already this culture of impact very embedded in the core of what you do, right? Because that's what you said. Working with those devices, working with technology, that's your core business, right? So that's what you do on a regular basis. And if it's for impact or not, you guys are there and trying to deliver it, right? But I can imagine it can be a bit challenging, right, to keep fostering this impact culture, let's say. And how do you keep that in practice? How do you keep, employees engaged, interested, curious to work with impact?
Yeah, it's a challenge, but it's so fun to do that because it requires a lot of dialogue, a lot of listening, networking, articulating with people. So it's something that it's hard work, but it pays off so much. Whenever you start talking, for instance, you start talking with an executive that looks into it, that's cost only. And then after some work, he realizes it's not cost. We are not just giving away money, we are investing. And I think here is one of the topics that I find super important in philanthropy, in impact investing, is to look into it as an investment that requires resources, requires strategy, requires time to mature, requires the expectation of return, following up in order to reach return. So having this mindset, I think, is half the way into the success of impact.
Yeah, that is super important. And sometimes when we talk about impact investment, it always comes down to money, right? Oh, who am I going to donate or to invest some funds? But it's not only that, right? You can invest your time, your people's talents as well, to build solutions, to work with other organizations that are delivering the impact on the ground, let's say, right? There are several ways to invest on that. I really commend you for the work because I imagine it's not easy, right? And especially when we're talking such big companies as Lenovo, right? I assume that's a daily practice, right? That you need to do.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But it's fun.
It's fun. We have to enjoy, right? Working in the impact world, we really need to be passionate about it because
you know that within my team, we are in the global corporate citizenship team. I think there are 9 of us throughout the world.
And 9 throughout the world?
Yes.
Wow.
But we also share that we feel like we have the best position at Lenovo because of what we do, because of the impact that we see. So it's really hard feeling to work in this.
Yeah, I guess it's very rewarding.
Very rewarding.
Yes, I understand.
And it's a wonderful team, I must confess.
So here in Brazil or in Latin America, do you have a team as part of the corporate citizenship?
Actually, I'm the sole resource for Latin America.
Okay.
And
you're covering a big territory.
But of course, I count on the resources from the company. So supporting areas from the company that also support the work for corporate citizenship. And in different countries, I have built kind of a team, a dream team of volunteers, so people that work for Lenovo, Motorola in different countries, but they are super engaged and they support locally whatever we develop. So we are actually those nine colleagues that I mentioned to you. It's mostly 1 or 2 per continent that we do have. So it's a tiny team. We're super lean, but we count on the company and we count on an enormous team of volunteers that support our work throughout the globe.
No, that's fantastic. Really fantastic to hear. And I am actually surprised that you have such a lean team because the initiatives you're doing when it comes to technology and impact, they're huge. And that's what I want to talk a little bit more now. So we understand, what are you doing? What is Lenovo, concerned when it comes to impact? Now I wanted to ask, is there what are causes that are important or matter the most to Lenovo as a company?
So at Lenovo, we envision a world where every person and business have access to technology that enables their own smart transformation. And this is our purpose, and this is translating to the vision of Lenovo, which is smarter technology for all. And that's why we invest heavily in innovation. Across the products, the services, solutions. So innovation is something that's really core on everything we do because we believe that we need this innovation to make the positive transformation we seek. And this innovation is also what we look in our social investments. So to this end, we have a foundation, the Lenovo Foundation, which I have the honor to represent in Latin America. And through the foundation, we provide smarter technology for all, empowering communities with access to technology and STEM education.
Education is a big thing.
It's a big thing and something that we really need to look. So I think that we always have been looking for the, but it's super important to look at this moment and looking at the future.
Yeah.
So we believe that when we invest in education and STEM education, we are shaping the new generation to be prepared for the challenges and changes that we need in the society. So as a global company, we do have a huge responsibility with the society. So we have been looking in ways on how technology can serve the people and the planet, and this including everything that technology brings in. Of course, AI now, the hottest topic.
Oh yeah, but that's true. We're gonna get there.
Gonna get that. But if I may, I would like to share with you and with our audience some examples of what we have been doing at Lenovo through AI and technology to really put this at service of the people. So I'll start by one of the examples that I'm passionate about, and to illustrate, I'm going to ask you and the listeners to think of a language you haven't mastered yet. And for example, talking about myself, I don't speak Armenian. I would love to, but I don't. And for the illustration, if I take your cell phone and I put the interface in the language that you don't master, that you don't know, what's the use of the cell phone for you? So, for instance, my cell phone in Armenian is useless. Complete, zero use. So, let's think about this example if we look into endangered indigenous languages. It's the same. So, indigenous people cannot use technology. So, for the last, I think now 4 years now, we have been working on including indigenous languages first in Motorola cell phones. This project started proudly here in Brazil with the languages Nhangatu and Kaigang. So Nhangatu from the Amazon, Kaigang from the south of the country. And then we expanded it to the rest of the world. So today we have already Cherokee from North America, Kuvi and Kangri from India, Maori from Asia, Ladino from Europe, and we are moving towards more languages now. And it's a beautiful project. We have earned a recognition from UNESCO from that. But the thing that we are most proud is using technology to perpetuate the original language. And there's more. We have developed, we have open sourced it, and it's available for everybody who wants to use. So really, really, really proud of using technology in a way to include those populations.
So this is such a great example and a great project, and I assume it's still going on, right? And it's simple, right? When we think about translations, especially now with AI, this is something very basic, right?
Yes.
But when we see it from that perspective, right, of talking about these are endangered languages, right? They might disappear from the world, especially from these communities that are often targeted, often underserved, right? And it's a basic technology in a way, but it's serving as such much bigger cause, much bigger issue. Yes,
it is. It is. And so this is one, I think it's really, it makes us proud to have worked in such a project.
I can imagine. Wow. And as a Brazilian, I feel, even prouder that this initiative, this idea was born here, right?
Yes, indeed.
No.
So if I can give you another example, there's something else that I'm proud to share. In 2021, we started to work in alliance with the Scott Morgan Foundation, which is a British organization dedicated to developing very ambitious assistive technology solutions, integrating hardware, software, and AI to support people with disabilities, severe illnesses, and other challenging conditions like ALS, so amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. That is a disease that causes the death of the motor neurons responsible for muscle movement, such as those responsible for walking, talking. And as a result of this condition, the body begins to fail while the mind remains untouched. super hard.
Yes.
So this project was about creating an avatar with AI for ALS diagnosed patients. So it's a huge alliance. On one hand, the Scott Morgan Foundation, with the deep knowledge that they do have in LAS and how to use AI for that. Lenovo with the technology to do that. Other companies like a company that knows how to capture the voice of that patient before he or she has lost the voice. Another company that knows how to create a super realistic avatar. So the result is that now we do have this possibility of people that has this terrible disease to continue to have his or her autonomy even after
Some life quality.
Yes. So this is so beautiful. I almost get emotional to talk about this project, because if you exercise the empathy and you try to put yourself in the place of that person, and then you realize that technology is playing a huge role in order to keep the quality of life, the autonomy, it's something that's really touches me. So another interesting project on how to put technology at service of people. So this is now also, we are starting to work also with the Parkinson disease with a similar solution. So, yeah.
And that is really amazing. Then it touches my heart as well, this type of projects, right? Yeah, because it's all about that individual, that person that will have much more quality to live their life. And also on a personal side as well, I had my grandfather that he had Parkinson.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I didn't have the chance to meet him after, well, when he was, healthy or responsive in a way, right? And I could imagine if this was today, right?
Yes.
There are so many alternatives and so many ways that people can have a much better life despite the conditions that
Indeed
are bare to them.
Yes, and I think that AI has a significant role in making this possibility. Yeah.
And it's interesting because when we were talking about AI and, for example, this kind of avatars and other initiatives that look very advanced, very innovative, sometimes people get a bit scared, yes, right? And go like, oh, this is a bit of a Black Mirror kind of thing, and so on. And people focus a lot on the negative aspects, right?
Yeah.
But there's so many beautiful things on the other side, right, that are happening.
Yes, it is. And I think that now that I think people are understanding more about what's AI, what's within it, everybody's now also realizing that if it's used in a very responsible and ethical way,
Exactly.
it could be change maker. Yeah, so it's huge. Another example that I would like to share with you was also developed here in Brazil. I think I'm talking too much about Brazil, but it's
No. I'm also here on your side. We can keep talking about Brazil.
3 years ago, our research and development team has launched a project that translates Libras, the Brazilian Sign Language, through an interface of to the combination of AI and the camera on your cell phone or on your computer that reads the sign that people say, translated it into written language. And so this makes possible also for people with hearing difficulties to use computer as an interface. And when we think here, so what's the use of this? If you look into some situations that we currently have here, that if you need to talk on a call center, or if you need to use a computer-based interface in order to, I don't know, require some assistance or something, but you cannot speak your voice, or you cannot hear, you only use sign languages. How can you do that?
Yeah.
But a computer can read, so you can use the whole technology resources in order to do this translation. So this project is super beautiful. It was launched 2 years ago. It's a success. But what I think that you mentioned something like that, Anna, but it's not only about removing it's not only about benefiting the 1 in 4 people who have a disability, but rather the 100% of people who will face a disability in their lives, who deserve solutions in line with that smarter technology for all that I mentioned. So I think there are plenty of uses of that. I think we are learning a lot on how to do that. Of course, in every single project, you learn a little bit more on something that can be used in another one. But it feels like we are kind of in a growing spiral of knowledge on how to use wisely technology to serve the people and to serve this sort of situation that we face on a regular basis.
Of course, and being centered in people is also creating or building technology to address a problem, right? Technology is not an end in itself. Let's not build something here because it's nice or it sounds cool. So let's tackle a problem and sometimes technology is not the only solution, right? But to some of those very complex issues that we face and that people will face, like, for example, having a disability, aging, growing old, right? And all the implications that has, technology can come as the support.
Yes, it is.
And from all of these initiatives that you mentioned, I assume that responsible AI and the ethical implications are a huge topic, right? Especially those that are more concerned to health of individuals, specifically working with humans, right?
Yes. No, this is super important.
And sorry to interrupt you, but some companies, they don't take that into account, right? When we think about building AI systems, right? The responsibility behind it is huge.
Yes, it is. We have, I think it was last year, we have established an ethical AI committee that led by one of our highest executives to really look into how can we not only use AI on those type of projects in a very ethical and responsible way, but how do we offer this in an ethical way to our products and services? So this, for us, this is something that's really, really important, and I think this is key for us to achieve whatever we want to achieve through this potential of AI.
Mm-hmm.
I want to share one last example.
Please, keep them coming.
It's a different one because it's a wearable that they have developed. It's called Trada, and it's a solution for people that have arrhythmia. So it is a device that has a real-time monitoring with AI. So you use AI, you using all the data and everything that it's behind that. You know how a healthy heart will beat, and you know how a heart with arrhythmia that is in risk of a stroke or something would be beating. And so with the use of AI and this wearable, it's something that's super tiny. You just put it near your heart. And this assists in the identification of arrhythmia events. And sudden deaths is something that's really common in people with arrhythmia. And so to wear this device, there's a continuous monitoring of the heartbeats and the heart's electrical signs. So using those AI advanced algorithms, we can identify a potential arrhythmia event and save lives. So this was also developed here in Brazil. Super proud of it.
This one also started this year, yes.
So it's a partnership between Lenovo and Instituto do Coração.
Heart Institute.
Yes, the Heart Institute, one of the best heart hospitals in the country. And we have already some cases of people that really had their life saved because of the device. So another use of technology, AI, to save lives. I'm super proud. Yes, super, super proud.
I get goosebumps, not only because of an amazing initiative, but because it was also here,
Yeah.
developed in Brazil. That's really good. Yes. And these are all amazing initiatives, and I want to know even more what you guys are currently working on.
Yeah.
Right? Because there are a lot of them, I know, but specifically here in Latin America,
Of course.
or other initiatives that are concerning about AI, right? Since we started this topic, could you share with us some of those initiatives?
Of course. So first, one that's not really super focused on AI, but will reach AI for sure. We have just launched a couple of months ago a fund in Latin America for STEM education projects. So we believe that STEM is essential for critical to building the new generation, as I mentioned before. And we see STEM as something much more than a grouping of those words, science, technology, engineering, and math, but mostly a movement that develops the scientific and mathematical think in depth. And we need this.
We definitely need it.
And Latin America historically has little investment in scientific and technological development. And this generates a whole negative spiral because we have little investment, therefore little development, few scientists, few references, little interest. Then we have, it justifies the low investment.
Yes.
So we need to break the cycle.
This part you mentioned is so important, the interest, right? There has to be, first thing, building this curiosity on young people mostly, right? To get involved in those.
And for them to understand, this is something that's really for me. I can be a scientist, I can be in engineering, I can work for NASA.
Yeah, but democratizing the access, right?
Yes. And so, and combined with that, so the lack of investment in STEM education, we are also in the same movement as everybody else in the world. We need professionals that understand and know about STEM. So there's a huge opportunity. So what we have defined with other founders, we have launched this pooled fund. So different founders putting money in the same pot to invest and try to find innovative projects that could be super tiny, super large, but can really look into how can we enhance STEM education throughout Latin America. So this fund is kind of innovative in a way that it's built. So it's not common to have such a pooled fund, so everybody putting money in the same pot and looking into the same situation. But the potential that we do have with this, with the different views, the different opinions, in not only investing on those projects, but learning from those projects is something that's huge. So we are right in the face of, we received the applications, we are analyzing them. I'm quite sure that there would be some AI would come from there.
Well, hopefully, right?
Hopefully. I think that sometimes we do have the view that we don't have tech initiatives, AI and stuff too developed in Latin America, but that's not true. We have very good stuff.
Yeah.
But I would like also to highlight our project together. So we're super proud to work with Tech to the Rescue in this social impact lab, in which we are skilling organizations with the tools to do more with technology, with AI. So we have already passed through the environmental cohort,
Climate cohort.
climate cohort, and now looking into education. And I think this is huge because I feel like I think in one of the previous episodes I heard one of the NGOs saying that when I heard about AI, I thought it was not for me. I'm not such a technological NGO. Nowadays, everybody needs to look into that. And even though this lady, I can remember the name of the NGO, but she mentioned, when I started to realize, when I lost the fear to open myself to understand what it is, I saw that there's a huge potential, or even there are certain cases that people realize that they are already using it.
Exactly.
Maybe not knowing or not stating that they are using machine learning or whatever, but they are, chatbots. And so I think people are now understanding. And coming back to what I was mentioning about Latin America, we are also involved in another project. Actually, we started to map with an NGO in the south cone of Latin America. We tried to map social entrepreneurs that are using AI in different ways. And it was a huge surprise because at first we thought, maybe language would be a barrier. There are not much things developed in Spanish, which was the case on that. And we realized that those barriers exist, especially if you look into the database of the base of the data. Not much is in Spanish, even though Spanish is super language spoken. I think there's the third language spoken in the world, mostly the spoken language. But there are plenty of good examples here being developed here with the technology, with the knowledge. So I think we have to explore more. We're going to find much more things. But I also think that AI per se can help us find those good examples.
Exactly.
If we look into classical philanthropy, we have worked for several years with, for instance, organizations coming to a foundation like the Lenovo Foundation and asking for a grant. So they needed to know us before that. We needed to know them before. With AI, there's a potential of reaching those that are out of the radar in both ways. They can find us, we can find them. And so I think this is something that could really boost social impact philanthropy. But this is another story. Sorry to expel.
No, of course. And what you're saying is very powerful. And of course, I'm also here, I am from Brazil. And I think sometimes when we talk about AI and all of those organizations, like you said, they're using technology, but behind those fancy terms, technical terms, they just don't know they're already using a lot of those resources. And I think when it comes to AI, then more globally, there is, of course, this focus sometimes in Europe or in North America, but there's so much happening in Latin America, right? The agenda around AI needs to be shaped by what we are doing here as well in Latin American countries, because the initiatives are huge, right? The list is very long, right? It's just a matter of giving them access or giving them this platform to shine as well, right? And the conversation is amazing. I mean, I think if you'd let us, we would be here for 2 hours. But I love the stories, and I wanted for us to wrap up a bit, the conversation, because you mentioned philanthropy, right? And I think maybe we could finish with this, your take on why it is important to combine philanthropy and AI.
Mm-hmm. So I think that the obvious answer is that if the two can collaborate, we can address global challenges. But if we look, separating it, there's also a transformative potential if you look into philanthropy by itself with AI, with technology, on how to make philanthropy more effective, enhancing operational efficiency, improving impact, which is a huge pain in philanthropy. So improve impact measurement, innovate in the outreach of governance, of donor engagement, fundraising. So a lot of more operational enhancements that could be there in philanthropy. As I mentioned, finding opportunities that are out of the radar. I think this is something that's really, really, really huge. But also looking into the nonprofits, so not the founders, but the other side of the coin. I think there's a huge potential to find new ways of delivering the charitable missions by automating processes, by understanding more, by mapping more. So I think there's something huge. But also, I think that more inclusion could be considered on the roadmap to more human-to-human interaction. We were talking about the languages, right? So growing the number of transcriptions and translation services could help overcome language barriers and accessibility barriers. So this could make things more inclusive, and this could grow the impact that we can do if we don't have those barriers. Yeah. So I think that there are huge opportunities for it to explore. All right. And just thinking, it's interesting. Whenever you start thinking about it, you think you answer one question and then 45 new ones come into your mind. So it's crazy to talk about it. I know that I'm kind of philosophical right now, but sorry about that.
No, nothing to apologize for.
Yes. But I think that there are opportunities to explore how humans and machine intelligence can be combined to develop innovative solutions for the most pressing social challenges that we do have. Mm-hmm. And although AI has intelligence in its name, I believe that its influence can go beyond intelligence and could be the key to the capacity of society to change what it needs to be more prosperous and more egalitarian. So I'm super optimistic about the use of AI and the combination of AI with human sensitivity and to change what we need to change the society.
Wow. What a better way to finish this episode with very, very powerful message. Alice, and I think this is not only a message, but you shared so many real life examples, practices that you are doing with your team at Lenovo, with the amount of organizations that you're supporting and serving. So that was really beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us. And to the audience, if you are a tech company or a nonprofit and you want to work with Tech for Impact, I will leave this open invitation to join Tech to the Rescue. But of course, if you're also representing a big company like Lenovo, right, and you are committed, concerned with impact, social impact, and the use of technology, you can always also reach out to Tech to the Rescue, support our mission. Well, this global mission, I think, that we all have of empowering change makers or serving them, giving them access to technology to deliver, impact at a much bigger scale. Thank you so much. Alice, it was a pleasure. I cannot say how happy I am that you have this chance to do this in person, see you behind the screen, have this human-to-human interaction, right?
Thank you so much. Thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.